What's cozier for a parent than cuddling with their baby when night falls? It can also be nice and not to mention convenient to have your baby just next to you in bed through the night. There is a big debate, however, on the safety of this. Indeed, it can become dangerous to do so, some cases even putting your baby's life at risk. So if you're one of those people who often lets your baby sleep in your bed, you need to listen to this. Parents Paige Ferguson and Blake Linton were visiting a couple of friends when their 6-month-old Colton fell asleep. The parents decided to put Colton down in their friend's bed to sleep. They tucked Colton in properly with pillows surrounding him all around. But shortly after putting him down, Colton fell off the bed, and even though the bed was only 2 feet off the ground, it didn't matter. In that instant, little Colton's life changed forever when his parents entered the room and found Colton on the floor. However, it didn't seem to be anything serious. In a Facebook post, Mom Paige describes the tragic accident that hit the family. He had a bump on his head. A bump? He was crying, acting alert, and at one point even smiled, she writes, adding, "Because we're paranoid parents, we decided to get him evaluated." The parents were sure the doctor would tell them it was just a bump and nothing to worry about, but they couldn't have been more wrong. To the parents' devastation, Colton was not at all okay, and from that moment on, his life would change forever. He fractured his skull and bled half of his entire blood volume into his brain, the mother writes. "I'm going to be blunt here. Colton may not live. Colton may live and never walk or talk. Colton may be fine. Colton may be delayed. It's up in the air right now, and he's still fighting for his life because we're not out of the woods. This is a nightmare." The horrible news crushed the parents. Although close to 20 doctors and nurses took care of their baby at the hospital, no one could say for sure if little Colton would survive. Paige said, "I knew something was wrong when I asked if he would be okay, and everyone just replied, 'We're doing what we can.' No one answered yes." Paige later learned that Colton's bleeding was so severe that it led to cardiac arrest. For a whole month, he underwent complicated surgery and an MRI survey, which led to devastating news. Colton had such a severe brain injury that he risked ending up in a vegetative state for the rest of his life if he even survived. Paige says she chose to share her family's tragic story to warn other parents. "I don't want other parents going through this. I don't want any kid to go through this." In her Facebook post, she also asks parents to take all bumps on children's heads seriously. In her case, it was the parents' paranoia that has so far saved Colton's life. In April of this year, Colton managed to open his eyes, and doctors have now released him from the hospital. He is using a feeding tube and takes medications daily to survive, but there's hope. "He's the strongest child I've ever seen in my entire life," she says. Because of the cardiac arrest, Colton's entire brain was affected. "I will do everything in my power to ensure he has a happy life. I really think he's going to do more than what the doctors think he will, but I'm also very fearful for his future." Such accidents can be caused in a variety of ways, but one thing we can learn from this family's extreme bad luck: keep a close eye on any child in an adult bed, no matter how safe you think it is. It's extremely sad that someone who barely started life was so seriously injured, but luckily, little Colton seems to be a real fighter. Paige says their lives are forever changed as a result of Colton's fall. "He's doing okay as well as he can," says Paige. "He smiles at us, which is the best thing in the world. But doctors have explained that we need to understand that Colton suffered a very significant brain injury, and in most cases, kids with this injury don't live. You will have a very hard life at the end of the day." Ferguson says she is just thankful her baby boy is alive and hopes other parents can learn from her story. The scariest part about Paige's story is that it's easy for so many parents to relate to her situation. While there's no guaranteed way to stop your child from taking a fall, the Mayo Clinic recommends taking a few precautions at home to make tragic spills less likely, including installing safety gates at the top and bottom of staircases, installing window guards, never leaving a child unattended on any furniture like changing tables, installing safety rails on beds for toddlers, and always placing portable car carriers on the floor.